Hello and welcome to Strategic Exodus podcast, where this podcast has the opportunity and the potential to save lives in the way of getting unstuck, whether it be in a relationship that is abusive or you've been out from an abusive relationship and you're just stuck in life, not sure and understanding where you can go. And so this podcast is all about strategic plans to get out from wherever you are. And today I'm excited to have my guest, Samantha White, and I am going to let her introduce herself, share with you exactly what it is that she does, and we're just going to have this conversation as we normally do. So, good morning, good morning, good morning, and thank you, Samantha, for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here today. So as previously stated, my name is Samantha White. I am a certified professional coach. I have a master's in developmental psychology. I own Consult Positivity. And through Consult Positivity, I help women all over the world. It's a virtual service with their depression, low self-esteem, and disgruntled relationships. So we help them break the chains that they have tied to them that is basically holding them to their past, and we help them walk to a place of peace. It is a life project of mine, and it is something that I thoroughly enjoy and have been on the record, um, owning the business and doing all of that type of stuff for about 2 years now. Off the record, I've been helping women since I was about 17, so this will be my 10th year. I'm very excited about it. And I do Christian wellness coaching. That's kind of how everything flows into play. So because of those three topics that I talk about, I deal a lot with a lot of mental health, and I do different speaking engagements, and I've written books, as well as articles about mental health and why it is so important, especially in times like now where people are more materialistic and more focused on themselves and not necessarily self-love, but just on themselves in general.
Wow, so that was a lot. And, in assisting women, try to get them to get out, writing those plans for them to get out. They normally stick their hands up, yeah, I want help, but they don't realize exactly who they are and the fact that they have the power in order to get out. So if you could just speak, to the Christian aspect, the belief aspect, the faith aspect, because in my journey and with the clients that I serve, and for me as a survivor of an abusive relationship for 30 years, when I grabbed a hold of who I was for real, did I make the decision that I need to do something? Can you speak to that bonding of those who finally believe when that happened, when that click happens, and the relationship of you know all of the depression and all of the abuse and all of the trauma that they've dealt with, when do they put that aside and finally say, you know what, I've got to do something. I've got to break off from this relationship that's killing.
Oftentimes it's when, they get to their wits' end, or because they feel like, there's nothing else that they can do, or there's no one else to turn to, and they've burned all of these bridges. Now, in a beautiful world, I would prefer that as soon as, you start feeling like the relationship is not for you, or that the person is detrimental to your mental, emotional, physical, um, and any other type of way they are detrimental to you, spiritual was the other one I missed, then I would say that would be the time to go. But as I have done in my past, and I know a lot of other women have done, we tried to fix the person, we tried to help the person, we tried to mold the person, and we just end up killing ourselves on the inside. We end up letting go of who we are as a woman, or even as a person, and trying to focus all of our efforts and our sole attention on that person. But actually leaving and trying to change happens at different times for different people. Whenever I was in that situation, I left whenever I was publicly humiliated. And that for me was like the last straw. Privately, he had done it several times, and it was just like, okay, he always apologizes and everything will get better. And then he does good for, however long, and then he messes it up again. So for me, it wasn't until he did it in public to let me know, okay, he really doesn't care about me. Because if he can do this in front of someone else, then he could do it at any time, which was crazy, sitting back thinking about it. Like, he'd been doing it. So why, like, what took, I don't know what took me so long, or what broke the straw, but that was it for me to be like, okay, you gotta go. Like,
yeah. So for me, it was my kids. See, it was done. I mean, it was done in front of them before, but when he said, if I had a gun, I would kill you, I knew that to be true because just a few short weeks prior to that, he had been looking to buy one. Like, to be going shopping for one. And when the fight broke out in the kitchen, and my kids were trying to pick up literally everything that had been thrown out of the cabinets, off the counters, and I snapped because I watched my two older boys push me back, and I'm just visualizing all of this, and it was so surreal. It was like a movie, it was slow motion. When I finally got it, like, okay, now this is really affecting my kids. Not that it didn't affect the kids before, it did, but that triggered something within me that I had to actively do something. And so, my next question, girl, you picked up on something that was really, really life changing for me, and many others, the survivors and the victims that I speak to. I said to myself, and I had to apologize to the Father, the Most High. I had to apologize to him because I thought I was him. I thought I was God because I thought I could fix him. I thought I could fix it. I lost 250 pounds. I did everything thinking that I fixed it. Do you think that's because, and this is this is really prevalent in a lot of women, most of them, victims of abuse, that we believe that we can fix the problem, fix the relationship. That fixing part, do you think that it's because we are natural nurturers as women? Is that part of it, or is it something greater than that?
well, I would say, like, we're problem solvers. We're nurturers, but we're also problem solvers. And it's like, and my husband had to teach me this. He said, Sam, I know you want to help me, but you have to let me work through my problems on my own. How am I ever going to learn to fix anything if you just swoop in and fix it every time? And I'm not trying to overstep. For me, it's helping. If I'm having a problem and someone swoops in and fixes it before I can turn around, I'm like, well, dog, thank you. I'm excited. It's one less
Right.
thing that I have to do. Like,
Right.
that would make me happy. I'm
Right.
like, thank you, girl. Shoot. Thank you. You saved me 45 minutes because you spent 45 minutes. I am happy. Like, it is the best thing ever. My men, on the other hand, they want to be the fixers, and half the time it takes them 10 times longer than it does for me to fix it. But I just let them be great. And I just sit and watch him make it worse. And then when he's ready to ask for my help, then I fix it in 20 seconds. And so now that we know each other the way that we do, there's a lot of things that he just looks at me and knows that I'm itching to fix it. Like, please let me fix it. Lord Jesus, I don't know what I'm going to do if you don't let me fix it. I might have a conniption over here. I want to fix it so bad. And he can look at me and tell, and he'll just give it because he knows I want to fix it. And the other things, he's like, Sam, I want to handle this one on my own, you know? And I'm like, okay, that's his way of telling me to back off and don't touch it. So that means I just need to respect his decision and back off and don't touch it. And when he burns the whole thing down, then I'll swoop in and fix it, because then he'll have burned it down. And for me, it was very visual. When we were dating, this to me really showed me, like, okay, with him, you're going to have to let him do it. We were dating, and I had made some French toast at my friend's house because I was living with a roommate at the time, and he came over to visit. So me and my friend and her boyfriend and my boyfriend, we were all eating together in French toast. I made the French toast. She made the sausage. You know, this was years ago. And I thought it was great. I was just happy as I wanted to be. He was eating it, but he didn't look happy about it. And I was like, what's wrong? He was like, oh, the French toast is good or whatever, but it's not like my grandma's. Okay. Well, then you come to my house, or, you know, where we are, and you make your grandma's French toast. See how good your grandma's French toast is. You know, that had made me mad. So then, so later on, you know, we're married now. We're at our own place. And he's like, hey, you know, I finally have time. I'm off today. I'm going to make the French toast the way my grandma used to make it. I was like, oh, okay, breakfast in bed. So I'm just laying here playing on my phone. Like 30 minutes later, I see smoke, right? I didn't go in there. No, because he already told me he got it, right? He's going to do it. Then maybe another 15 minutes, the smoke is filling up the room, and I'm in a separate room, okay? So it doesn't travel through the whole apartment, okay? Then I'm like, well, let me just ride, you know, just kind of walk out there, do a little drive-by, see what's going on, see if the kitchen's on fire. And I walk by, and he looks like he's in a state of panic, but he smiles like he's got it. And he had already told me, you know, not to mess with it. So I walk past into the living room and just open the window, just let the smoke out because I don't want to die in here. And then I walk back by. Meanwhile, he's got a towel. He's just smacking the stove and trying to get it together. But when I walk by, he smiled both times, like he's got it. So I come back and sit down. Then I start opening windows because we don't burn to death in here because he doesn't want to ask me for help. And so then I go back in there again, and I look around the corner, and he's still trying to put the fire out. I'm like, okay, well, whatever.
Oh, there's fire now.
So I come back and sit down on the bed. Next thing you know, Sam, I need help. And I was like, it's only been 45 minutes. I was going to die waiting for you to ask for help. And it taught me something. People want to deal with their own problems by themselves. Mm-hmm. And when they are ready for help, that's when you help them. That's what I learned through the whole ordeal. Yeah. And for me, that because it was so close to home and it was very visual for me, it taught me so many things. Okay, for instance, when I walked by, he knew I had the capability to help him, right? Mm-hmm. He decided to put on a facade and smile, knowing that he was going to burn the doggone stove, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing that people do. Yeah. They'll put on a whole new face and smile, and the whole house, everything's burning down, the whole life is in disarray, but they'll smile at you when they know that you have the capability to help them. So as women, as fixers, sometimes we have to let people's houses burn. Yeah. Not literally, but you know what I mean. Because they're going to do it the way they want to. And when they're ready to ask you for help, then you can swoop in and help them. But until then, you just have to let them do whatever they're doing, because you can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped.
This is true. And, you know, as an advocate, you know, getting those victims who, you know, they make the initial mistake, I need help. And I plan, but I cannot plan without them. They know their abuser the best. They know the in and the out. of the victim. They know when he goes to work, how he sleeps. They know the triggers. So they know all of that. So when I plan, I have to include them. But you said something so super pivotal. And a lot of the community don't really understand, because we're living in a really super judgmental world. Well, I don't know why she stayed that long. I don't know why she put up with that. I don't know why. Just last night, I had someone that said I'm locked out the house and waited in their car the entire night for the door to open that never opened. And so, even in speaking, there's still yet a hint of hope that I'll fix whatever I did wrong. And so I want to ask you about, there's a couple of things. I want you to speak to that. We've got to wait and let the person go through whatever it is that they need to go through until they get to that place of, okay, I'm learning some things. I've learned some things, and I'm really ready to go. I'm really ready to let go of the heart relationship. I'm seeing that it's not love. I'm seeing finally that it's something else. I'm finally seeing that, really truthfully, that this person, whom it is that I'm giving my all to, really, really, truly doesn't care. And so that process, what is that process like? How do you work with clients from that point of, wow, not only was I not loved, I'm beating myself up totally because I have allowed myself to become so disillusioned by the person that I love.
A lot of times, as women, we see the fault in others and their relationships, but we can't see the fault in ours. And even when we do have those reality check moments, like before when we were talking about like the abusers, we try to push them away. And so I think at a certain point, it's like God brings you to a point where he's like, you're going to look at this because you need to see this, or this is going to be the death of you. This is not what I planned for you to have in your life. But because you are so stubborn, you won't stop talking to him. You won't leave. You won't reach out for help. You won't run away, or whatever outing he has given you several times. Because for me, he gave me so many, like, hey, you could just move back in with him, but it's like he's like, hey, if you don't listen to me, you're gonna die here, and I didn't plan for you to die here. You are messing up. And this is the way he talks to me. I don't know how he talks to you, but when he talks to me, he's like, hey, do you see me over here? I'm trying to help you. I have given you this outing, this outing, this outing. And he just keeps going on. And you are so stubborn that you're going to marry this person. You're going to have kids with this person. You're going to do whatever. That I didn't want you to do none of that. I wanted you to see this person and run. But you ran the other way. You ran to him, not away from him.
And he's such a gentleman, isn't he? Because, yes, that's exactly how he talks to me. I'll wait. I think of it like, how we go to the malls? Well, I used to. But at any rate, you go to the malls and we're holding hands, father and daughter. We're walking through the malls, and for me, it's the Coach store. My word, please don't let me pass Coach, because I'm in the store. And so he's holding your hand, and you're like, oh, wait, I know that we have to go to this store to get this thing, but there's the Coach store. Let me just go in. And he talks to you, we don't have time. You have a mission. This is what you need to be doing, where you need to be going, what you need to be getting. But
you can't afford it.
Yeah. You can't afford it, mate. But Dad, just let me look. And he allows you, he's such a gentleman, he allows you to go look. And then when you come out with 2-3 bags, and then you see him, and then you feel guilty because, all of that, I should have waited. So yes, I totally get it. He's such a gentleman in that regard. And people, that beginning, no, I didn't have, you weren't supposed to marry him. You weren't supposed to link up. That's not the plan that I had. Not at all. I want you to briefly speak about how you, Samantha, life after domestic violence is. How did you allow yourself to go into another relationship? And how did you deal with maybe the barriers that you already have? How did you allow yourself to open yourself up to someone else to love and love you? How did that happen? I love success stories.
Okay, let me just tell you that everything that I say is like, I'm very real with my clients, very real on all my podcasts. Let me just tell you that I did not allow my husband to talk to me. He was trying to talk to me. I was shutting him down at every turn. I was not having it. I was just like, no, leave me alone. Why are you talking? And he was so persistent. He would, like, at first he was telling me, he was like, hey, I just wanted to talk to you about your past relationship. And I was like, why does everybody want to talk to me about that? I don't want to talk about that. And he was like, well, I wanted to talk to you about it because he had went through a similar situation with his ex-girlfriend, and he was trying to figure out, how did I heal? And I was like, I'm not even healed. What are you talking about? Like, why me? Why don't you go to therapy or something? Like, leave me alone. He was just like, no, I wanted to talk to someone who has been through that. And then I was like, okay. And so finally, I decided to let him call me on Facebook, which I felt like I was safe, and I was just going to talk to him. But he was so nice and gentle. And he was telling me, he was like, I went through a lot, and I know you did too. And I just wanted to know, like, what did you do to stop having, those bad dreams at night? Like, he was just talking to me about different things, but they were real things that I suffered with as well. And so I knew he wasn't, like, trying to manipulate me, because some people will be like, well, let me talk about this, and they get you on the phone and they want to try to sell you a car or something crazy. So it was like, he was honestly talking, and he was pouring out his heart, and I was really seeing him. And then I was like, okay, well, that's fine. And I started giving him the different tips that I used, like, for instance, playing my Bible out loud at nighttime helped me to have less nightmares. So it was just like, just telling him, like, different things that I was doing to try to get through what I was getting through. And then one day he sent me another message. He was like, hey, they're having this bowling thing at Fayetteville State, which is the school that we went to together. And I was wondering if you were going to be there, because it was apparently like all the alumni were going or whatever. And then I was like, yeah, I don't bowl. It sounds like a date, and I'm not going.
You're protecting yourself.
And it was just like a wall every time. And I know he was probably like, this woman, I don't know what I'm going to do with this woman. But I continued to talk to him. And then eventually he had invited me bowling so many times that I finally went. And when I went, I realized that I sucked at bowling, which is why I never liked it. But he's like in a league, like, this is his thing. So he was so excited to show me and teach me and everything, that it ended up being like a nice time. And this is with his whole family is there, and everybody's there. So it wasn't like a one-on-one date. And then it just continued to manifest into
the family. The family was there.
So it's for him, like, bowling is like everything. So his family bowls, everybody bowls.
Oh goodness, you met mom.
Well, not his mom. His mom wasn't there. It was his dad, his grandpa, like his siblings, like all of them were there, but his mom wasn't there. I didn't meet his mom until later. She's really cool. I love her. But it was just like meeting everyone to know, like, because I didn't want to be, and that's the great thing about going bowling, is that you're not like on a date by yourself. There's like plenty of people, especially on a Thursday or a Friday night. There's like a whole bunch of people bowling. And so after a while, I realized, like, he's a nice person. He's just lost because of what happened to him. And me, instead of being lost, when I came out of my situation, I made a plan. And it was like, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And I'm not going to date anybody because I can't date anybody. So for a while, we were just friends, like almost 2 or 3 years. And then after all of that, on Valentine's Day, he was like, hey, I got you this bear. And I was like, oh, thanks. You know, because we're not dating, so this is weird. You know, like this is an awkward. Like, why would you buy me a bear? And then and then he's like, yeah, I also got you these balloons. And I was like, okay. And then he's like, and a flower. And he just keeps pulling stuff out. I'm just like, he has a problem. And then and then he's like, and a card. And I was like, oh, you bought me a card? Because I care about like handwritten things more than gifts. So the balloons, the bear, I didn't care about none of that. But the card I was excited about. And so he was like, yeah, I should have just saved money and bought you a $1 card and wrote in it if I knew you weren't going to care about this $30 bear and these balloons. And this
Right.
And so then he gives me the card, and it's so sweet. I still have the card to this day. And it's just like, thanks for helping me heal through all of what I was going through while you were trying to heal yourself. And then he's like, I got a question to ask you. This is in the card. So then he's standing up there, and he's just looking at me read it. And I look up like, what's the question? He's like, would you like to date me? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, oh, that wasn't the answer I was looking for. And then I was like, well, yeah, I mean, you're cool, but I don't think I'm ready for a relationship. You know, I'm kind of messed up. You know, I got a lot going on with that. And at this time I was having less nightmares, but they were still pretty frequent. And I was just like, you know, I don't know if you want, like, if you know everything that comes with this, you know, dating me and stuff. And then he was like, well, I'm open to trying if you are. And if you're more comfortable with it, we don't have to tell anyone that we're dating until, you know, you feel that sounds good. We did that. And, you know, 2 months later, I decided I really liked him, and I already knew I liked him, but, you know,
you just had to, yeah, I get it.
I had to get my life together and make sure, like, you know, no one wants to be that crazy girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like, you're out in the middle. Okay, for instance, you're out walking, leaving the movie theater, and I see a shadow, and I'm turning all the way around. I have my mace and everything. That's not a normal reaction. But because it triggers something to see a shadow when it should just be the two of you walking for a survivor, that's like a, oh, snap, something's happening. You know, like, no one wants to be that kind of crazy girlfriend. But for him, it's like, oh, what do you see? You know, because he sees the same thing that I see. So that was really cool. And, you know, we ended up getting married, and, you know, now we live together.
Wow.
But he worked really hard to be in this relationship. That was my whole point.
And that's awesome, because I find a lot of repeat victims, you know, the victimization that happens over and over again after they've gotten out from the first one is because time is not taken to learn who you are and go through therapy, possibly, and counseling and the healing process. The time is not taken. The, you know, victims of abuse, and I need to say victims because just as you said, men are victims as well. There are plenty of women who are out here doing all kinds of things, you know, to their men. But, you know, I just find that oftentimes they jump right into another relationship. And because, let's be truthful, let's be honest, those abusers can smell a victim like a wolf can smell blood from a hurt, you know, a hurting prey. They can smell it. They know it when you've been victimized before, just by the things you do, you say, all of that kind of stuff. And so it's so, for me, in, you know, in my, with my clients, I tell them, this is the period when you're a survivor, just as the time that you took, conventionally and or unconventionally, however it is that you need to heal and learn who you are, that being a survivor is that moment in time when you're learning about yourself. And so it will help with future relationships so that you know, okay, so why are you looking at me? Did I give you permission to talk to me? I mean, you don't have the guards up and things are in proper place. So I love to hear stories of, you know, those who have gotten relationships, those who have gone on and finally walked their path, in which you have, with all of the things that you do, you knew that this is your path. You knew that you had to make and create a plan. You knew that you had to put the work and the effort behind all of that to get right where you are right now, which is giving back to assist. There's so many victims who become survivors, and they right away want to go into advocacy. They right away want to go out back and help somebody else, and you can't, because again, you've got to take your time to learn about who you are, and then you've got to perfect your path. How are you going to get there? And then actually get there, in a sound space where, when you finally arrive, when you get to that end result, you are able to reach back and help properly. And so can you just go into how where we can find you, where we can reach you on social media, and can you just explain just a little bit about what you do, the joy of what you do, how you got there, how did you get to arrive right where you are today?
Well, okay. So social media, I have Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and it's all under Consult Positivity. My website is consultpositivity.com. And so everything is very, very straightforward, easy to find. As far as what I do, like I was saying, I provide a Christian wellness coaching to women specifically who have been through disgruntled relationships, and they are currently suffering with low self-esteem and or depression. And so for me, the reason that I am where I am today is because of all the things that I have been through in my past. And so going through, and this is just one thing, but going through all of the things that I went through in my past from about 16 to about 23, I really decided that once I got myself together, I wanted to help someone. I wanted to help anyone. And then I was like, well, you can't help everyone. So figure out what you want to focus on and then help those people. And I knew I wanted it to be women, because I'm a woman and I wanted to help. Basically, I'm looking to help like almost a mirror of myself, doesn't have to look like me, but it's going through the same problems that I went through, or at least some of them. And I'm looking to help her, I want to pull her up and maybe she can help someone else. And then it can be, a ripple effect of women not having to suffer with low self-esteem anymore. Who knows, it may take us years to get there or hundreds of years, but I just want to be able to start a ripple. And so the joy of what I do is every day when I talk to a woman that I have helped in the past or am currently helping, I just get so overjoyed to know that I am doing what I was sent here to do every day. It's the other day I got a review from a lady who I just did the consultation. It wasn't like we hadn't even done the coaching session, so she left a review after her consultation. And I literally cried. I called my mom and I cried because I was just like, she understands why I do what I do. And then I reposted the review on my personal Facebook page, and I was just like, when your clients understand you, because it's almost crazy to see people who have been through something and then they help you and then you don't, there's no gratitude. Not that I wanted like her to say thank you,
right? Yeah.
But for her to leave the review and be like, it's so clear that she understands what I'm going through. I understand you, girl, because I was there. It wasn't too long ago that I was in that kind of relationship or I was suffering with depression. God delivers, and that's what I'm teaching you, the tools to get you to that delivery. Like, it's there. He's probably been trying to help you get delivered. But, you need a person, because sometimes we just act like we can't hear him talking. I don't know what we'd be doing, but we just... So it's different when it comes from a person that can relate, because a lot of people, like you said earlier, are like, you don't have to be there. Okay, great. What do you know? You don't know nothing about what I'm going through, and you can't tell me to just leave because we have kids, we're married. There's so many other things that go together. So for me, it's being that kind of like that bridge, to bring you from where you are to where you're trying to be, and take a healthy, holistic way to get there. So no medicine at all, and just talking, reading scriptures, praying together, and getting the support that you need. So that's my why.
That's amazing. And, I am so thankful for you because, you know, every 9 seconds a woman is being beaten. Um, Here in the United States, 1 in 3 women are dying on a daily basis. 1 in 4 women report on a daily basis that they are in an abusive relationship. So that means that if you're sitting on a church pew and you've got, 4 women on that same pew, one of them is meeting it. And it's unfortunate that we even have to have this discussion about domestic violence, but the joy of people, just as you said, getting to know and understand who they are, and they will learn who they should serve, and they will get on the right path when they go through healing, when they talk, when they pray, when they link up with someone like Samantha, who will help them on that journey. And when people who are victims, who are now survivors, when they realize that, you know what, I need help, and they reach their hand up and say, you know what, Samantha, I need to link up with you because you've been where I've been, you understand me, and I'm ready to take this journey. I'm ready to go on this journey and ready to put in the work. For those, in the listening audience, it's not an overnight thing, awareness that happens and, you get on your path and you're moving. When you've been through abuse, when you've been victimized, and when you get to the point of coming out of it, then the real work starts. The real work starts. And I am so thankful, for even linking up with you, Samantha. You are amazing. And, if nobody said it today, I'm saying it today, and I'm saying it forever, because what you do is so super needed. And, I'm just thankful because this is not an easy place to get somebody to get the mindset shift to happen. That mindset shift when you've been, programmed, and that deprogramming, and then replacing it with the right and correct information, the love of the Father and who you are, and the strengths and the powers and the things that He's gifted, an individual. They have to learn that stuff. So I am so thankful for you doing what it is that you do. Sister, this won't be the last time. Truly, it will not be. My head has been spinning. I've got things going on in my head right now as we talk, as like, oh, maybe we can do this, or maybe we can collaborate and do this. This is just amazing. It's my honor to have you on as a guest today.
Thank you so much.
So this concludes this episode of Strategic Exodus Podcast. I will be back again on Friday, and we'll have another super guest. Again, know and trust and understand that if you are a victim of abuse, that you are not alone. If you need to reach up, you need to reach out, and I know that you're scared, that you can connect with Samantha, or you can connect with myself. But if it's not one of us, please make sure that you connect with somebody, because you do not have to stay where you are. All right. See you next time.